One day, in a sleepy town nestled between green hills and cracked roads, lived a 17-year-old boy named Zion. He wasn't extraordinary. Not in academics, not in sports, and definitely not in confidence. But he had one recurring dream: to become a professional boxer. It wasn't just a childhood fantasy sparked by late-night Rocky reruns or YouTube knockouts. It was deeper. His father, a former regional boxing champion, had given up the sport to work 2 jobs after Zion's mother passed away when he was 10. The boxing gloves hung in the garage, dusty and forgotten, just like his father's former dreams. Zion saw those gloves every morning on his way to school and every night when he took out the trash. They reminded him that greatness once lived under this roof. And maybe, just maybe, it could rise again. But Zion wasn't born with talent. In fact, when he first joined the local gym at age 15, he couldn't last a full round on the punching bag. His jabs were weak, his footwork clumsy. He lacked speed, coordination, and confidence. Most of all, he lacked motivation. He would come back from school exhausted, tempted to watch videos or scroll on his phone. He'd look at the training schedule and sigh. He'd whisper to himself, "I'll train hard tomorrow." But tomorrow never came, until one conversation changed everything. It was a Sunday afternoon. His father sat at the kitchen table sipping chai, his rough hands clasped around the mug. Zion slumped into the chair opposite him, defeated after yet another day of skipping training. "I just don't feel like it today," Zion muttered. His father looked up, eyes tired but sharp. "You're waiting for motivation?" Zion nodded. His father leaned forward. "Son, motivation is a mood. Discipline is a choice." Zion blinked. The sentence hit harder than any punch he had thrown. "Motivation fades. Discipline shows up, even when you don't want to," his father added. "The question is, who do you want to be when no one's watching?" That night, Zion stood in the garage, staring at the dusty gloves. He picked them up, wiped them clean, and made a vow: "I will train every single day, no matter how I feel." At first, it was brutal. He started with 10 push-ups and could barely breathe. He woke up at 5 a.m. to run, dragging his legs like weights. Some days it rained. Some days it snowed. Some days his muscles screamed for rest.
But he trained anyway.
He kept a calendar on his wall. Every day he trained, he marked a red X. One X turned into a week, then a month. He didn't miss a single day. And then discipline began to speak. His punches grew sharper. His body leaned out. His stamina built up like a fortress. The boys who once mocked him for being slow started noticing his form. Even the gym coach, an ex-military boxer named Cameron, pulled him aside one evening. "You don't talk much," Cameron said, "but you train like a man possessed. Keep showing up like this and you'll go places." Zion smiled quietly. It wasn't about recognition anymore. It was about the promise he made to himself. 6 months later, the local youth boxing championship was announced. It was open to all amateur boxers between 16 and 20. The winner would get a cash prize, a scholarship offer, and a chance to train with a national-level coach. Zion didn't hesitate. He signed up. When the list of participants was posted, he saw names he recognized, boys who had been boxing for years, some from elite academies. Among them was Adil Faraz, a 2-time junior champ known for his fast fists and sharp tongue. During the pre-fight training camp, Adil scoffed when he saw Zion practicing alone. "You again?" Adil said. "I remember when you couldn't even hold your stance right. Don't embarrass yourself in front of the crowd." Zion didn't respond. He kept punching the bag. Because motivation would have argued. Discipline kept punching. The championship day arrived. The gym was packed with spectators. Coaches, parents, reporters. Everyone waited to see who would rise. Zion's first match was against a boy from Islamabad, tall and muscular. Zion felt the nerves crawl under his skin, but as the bell rang, he remembered the mornings he ran while the city slept. He remembered the blisters, the sweat, the aching silence of lonely workouts. And then he fought.
He won.
Then he won again. Each match grew tougher. Bruises bloomed on his ribs. His nose bled once. But he fought with precision and grit, his movements tight and relentless. His opponents were fueled by adrenaline. He was powered by habit. And then, the final match. Zion versus Adil. Adil grinned as they entered the ring. "This is where your fairy tale ends." Zion nodded. Not in agreement. In understanding. Every fairy tale had a dragon. This was his. The bell rang. First round, Adil dominated with rapid strikes. The crowd cheered his name. Zion's head spun from a sharp uppercut, but he stayed standing. Cameron shouted from the side, "Stick to the rhythm. Don't lose your breathing." Second round, Zion adjusted. He danced,
Dodged. Jabbed.
hit Adil in the ribs, landed a clean hook to the jaw. Adil's grin faltered. Third round, both fighters dripped sweat. The punches slowed but grew heavier. Adil swung wide. Zion ducked and hit him square in the liver. Adil stumbled. The bell rang. Everyone held their breath as the referee stepped forward. And the winner, by unanimous decision, Zion Khan. The crowd erupted. His coach lifted him in the air. For the first time in his life, Zion felt like he belonged. Not because he was the most talented, but because he was the most disciplined. Over the next year, everything changed. Zion got the scholarship. He trained with a national coach who immediately noticed his work ethic. "He's not the fastest," the coach said, "but he never quits. And that's why he'll make it." Zion rose through the ranks, winning provincial fights, then national matches. He never missed a day of training. Even when injured, he studied footwork, watched tapes, visualized fights. He went from an unknown kid in a dusty town to a contender for the national title. But life, like the ring, punches back. 1 week before the national championship, Zion's father had a heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital. The doctors said he'd recover, but needed surgery and weeks of rest. Zion sat by his father's side, torn. The championship was in another city. His coach told him, "You've trained for this all year. Your father would want you to go." But Zion hesitated. When his father regained consciousness, he saw Zion sitting quietly by the hospital bed. "Why aren't you packing?" his father asked. "I can't leave you like this." His father squeezed his hand. "I didn't raise you to quit. This isn't about boxing anymore. It's about becoming who you were meant to be." Zion left that night, and when he arrived at the arena, he walked into the ring like a storm.
He won.
Not because of a last-minute motivational speech, not because of a lucky punch. He won because he had trained every day through pain, boredom, and heartbreak. His body remembered what his emotions forgot. Years later, Zion became a professional boxer. He traveled the world, won titles, spoke at schools and colleges. But whenever someone asked, "What kept you going?" he would smile and say, "Discipline. Motivation made me start. Discipline made me unstoppable." And somewhere in that small town, the old gloves still hung on the wall of the garage. But now, they were surrounded by medals, photos, and newspaper clippings. A reminder to every boy who walked by that greatness isn't born, it's built, one hard day at a time. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. When you stop relying on mood and start relying on consistency, the world starts to take notice. Don't wait to feel ready. Show up anyway.